The state may call its next witness.
Thank you. The state calls Carren. And just go right up behind the court reporter.
Ma'am, come all the way up to the witness stand. When you get up here, please remain standing and raise your right hand to be sworn in by my clerk.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated. That black bar with the red dot in front of you is our microphone. Get yourself situated nice and close to that. And when you are ready, start by stating your name, spelling your first and last for the record.
My first name is spelled C-A-R-R-E-N. It's Carren. My middle name is Corcoran, C-O-R-C-O-R-A-N. And my last name is Gummin, G-U-M-M-I-N.
Thank you. Ms. Gummin, how are you presently employed?
I'm retired from City Madison Police Department.
How long were you a law enforcement officer with the City of Madison Police Department?
30 years.
During your 30 years as a law enforcement officer, did you have any kind of specialized training as it related to police canine dogs or working dogs?
I began working a cadaver dog independent of the police department in about 1999, and then proceeded to work cadaver dogs throughout my career. I'm currently on my 5th, and I also was a full-time patrol dog handler for 10 years for the city.
Do you currently own your own business?
Yes, I have a small business I started in 2005 called Canine Search Solutions. It's focused on providing training to law enforcement canine handlers who run tracking dogs. And then separate from that, we do cadaver dog work when we're requested, but it's on a voluntary basis. We don't get paid anything.
As part of your continued work as a trainer and a teacher, do you have a curriculum vitae that you keep up with in order to kind of keep track of everything that you do?
Yes.
And Madam Clerk, if you could please turn on the screen in front of the witness only, please. I'm scrolling down to the bottom of page 1. Do you see an exhibit sticker there, Ms. Gummin?
Yes.
And is that State's Exhibit 75?
Yes.
In scrolling through Exhibit 75, is this an 11-page document that is your CV?
Yes.
And this is something that you personally prepare and keep up with, you said, right?
Yes.
At this time, I move Exhibit 75 into evidence.
Mr. Lychwick, any objection to Exhibit 75 being received into evidence?
I told you already 1,000 times, Your Honor, I'm not well today. I don't know what to tell you.
Exhibit 75 will be received.
Ms. Gummin, we talked about how you were a City of Madison police officer for 30 years, and you have been training and handling working dogs for 24 years. Now, you talked about how you have had 5 dogs. Is that correct?
5 human remains detection dogs, yes.
Thank you for correcting me. Now, you yourself, as a handler, how many searches over your career have you participated in, whether it's search and rescue missions, as a cadaver dog handler?
Thanks. For human remains detection dog cases, I'm at 294 cases, and I count a case once. So often we get involved in a missing persons case, and we repeatedly go back, but 294 cases.
Now, Can you describe for the jury, please, your education, starting from when you were a police officer and then kind of going through the dog training as well?
I graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison a long time ago. And I got my degree at that time, a Bachelor of Arts in Behavioral Science and Law. And then I started in the Madison Police Department the day after I graduated. I had a minor in criminal justice, which was offered at the university, and a minor in African studies. And I think that's about it.
Okay. And now, is there a section on your CV that specifically focuses on the dog trainings?
Yes.
Okay. And would it be fair to say, and looking at exhibit number 75, you have routinely participated in various trainings involving police canines or human remains canines from 1995 through April of last year?
Yes.
And do you have any continuing education or training that you participate in to make sure that you are kept up to date with any advancements in this area?
For myself?
For yourself, yes.
I do a lot of trying to do a lot of research on what science and research has been done with human remains detection dogs and scent-specific trailing dogs. And I'm, at this point, more involved in instructing both hands-on dog handlers, and then also I do some online instruction for the Center for Forensic Training and Education, where they have me teach handlers.
Are you also, in this field, are you also a certifier for
Yes.
newer canines?
Yes, so I became a national certifying official in the realm of human remains detection through an organization called NNDDA. It's National Narcotic Detector Dog Association. It is one of several national organizations that test working dogs at least once a year. It says narcotics because in the 1970s is when it was developed as a narcotics entity, and it has since grown to be patrol dog testing, explosive dogs, human remains detection dogs. So I became a certifying, I test through there, but I'm also a certifying official in just human remains detection. So teams that can qualify to take that certification once a year, I evaluate them through a series of unknown blind testing, and then they either certify or they don't.
And in addition to being a member of the NNDDA, do you have any other memberships with associations as it relates to cadaver canines?
I mean, I'm on the board of a small search and rescue entity in Illinois, and I'm also a International Bloodhound Training Institute is an organization that's worldwide that trains dogs to be scent specific, looking for live missing people, and I instruct that, and I'm also a certifying official in that entity, separate from human remains detection.
In continuing through your CV, I'm looking at page 4 on Exhibit 75. Do you have any certifications as it relates to human remains detection?
Yes. So whatever cadaver or human remains detection dog I'm working, once they're grown and ready to be in the field, I participate also, and I am tested and certified once a year to demonstrate the dog's proficiency. And that test is single blind, which means the certifying official places the height of the remains, and I work it unknown and identify with my dog where it is at, and it's odor recognition.
So I'll come back in a little bit to proficiency testing. When you first obtain a new canine, what is the process on how you start training the dog?
Okay. So it's evolved over the years, just like anything else. So the dog that was utilized in this case, Canine Moxie, her mother was brought in to rescue a pure German Shepherd, and the Madison Police Department evaluated her to possibly take her on as a police dog. She didn't want to bite anyone, which is great. So one of my colleagues took her and started her training in scent-specific trailing and in human remains detection. When Talia was brought into rescue, who I volunteer and help to the best of my ability when potential working dogs come through Wisconsin, Shepherds, Malinois, that sort of thing, I try to help place them in a working placement. And Talia came into rescue pregnant, and she had a litter of 9 or 10 puppies. And so whenever one of my working cadaver dogs is getting older, I begin the process again. After this one, I'm done. And so I had a working human remains detection dog, Canine Molly, and she was about 7 or 8. So I went and looked at the puppies that Talia had produced, and I was given the impression by everybody involved that we thought they were going to be all black German Shepherds, which is my wheelhouse at the time. And I brought someone along, another trainer, and we selected Moxie at 8 weeks old. So I brought her home earmarked to start her training in human remains detection only. She turned out not to.
I appreciate that.
I'll have
Attorney
a next
Thompson, go ahead
question.
and ask another question.
Thank you. Ms. Gummin, do you see what's marked as State's Exhibit number 168 on your screen?
Yes.
And what does Exhibit 168 show?
It's a picture of Canine Moxie and I in Texas after our first certification.
I would move Exhibit 168 into evidence and ask to publish to the jury.
Mr. Lychwick, any objection to Exhibit 168?
Your Honor, in the name of God, I just want to go lay down. I'm not well.
All right, Exhibit 168 will be received. Any objection to its publication, Mr. Lychwick? All right, Exhibit 168 will be able to be used with the jury.
Thank you, Judge. And just for the record as well, all of these exhibits have previously been turned over to Mr. Lychwick, but he doesn't have papers with him, so I'm providing him paper copies. The exhibits I'll be using with Ms. Gummin going forward are 75, 76, 77 through 87, 165 through 167, and now 168. And I would ask then, Madam Clerk, if you could please turn on the screen for the courtroom.
The record will reflect that those paper exhibits have been provided to Mr. Lychwick.
And there are no staples. I took those out.
Thank you.
Okay. Is this you and Moxie in Texas then, as you discussed?
Yes.
Okay. And is Moxie still working, or has she been retired?
She retired in December of 25 at 12.
Okay. Now, once you have Moxie, and we'll use Moxie as the specific example because she is the dog that you used in this case here. So once you have obtained Moxie, how do you start that process of being able to detect the odor of human remains?
First of all, you have to use human remains, so we obtain anatomically donated, legally, human remains in different stages of decomposition. When they're young, I like to let them grow up a little bit till they're about 9 to 12 months. And in the meantime, you're just establishing what their reward or favorite toy is. And you're also imprinting where whenever they smell the odor, it's a positive experience. You feed them treats. I do 90 days to an indication once they hit about a year, depending upon the maturity of the dog. So the first 30 days would simply have the remains out in some high grass and the wind's blowing in her face, and I take her favorite toy, which is a ball, tennis ball, and lob it to the aide and give her the command to go find. She ranges out, gets to the toy, and is having a positive experience around the odor. And we do that for about 30 days. Usually it's 2 sessions, 15 days. When she's showing the ability to range out, and that's starting, and you're moving different areas, different aids, you then move to the next 30 days, which is now the toy is being concealed with the aid, and you're giving her that same picture of holding her and giving her a command to go find. And the ball is not cueing her or being lobbed at the odor, but she runs out anyhow. She finds the toy again. And another good experience, making that the positive. On the final 30 days, you identify what you want your trained final response to be, which is, in her case, a sit. Some dogs down, some bark, some touch. I do a sit. I've taught that to her at a close distance and then worked a little range from it. Now I have the toy again. The aid is out there. I give her my same picture of go find. She gets to the source. The toy's not there, but she then looks and I tell her to sit and she gets her toy at source again. So when that becomes proficient, then you begin to teach mini problems and then it just progresses from there.
Now, once the proficiency of the dog is established, does that mean that at this point the dog is detecting the odor and not looking for that toy or that specific item that you were initially starting the proficiency training with?
The toy is now with me, and so while we're searching, she's out ranging, and she knows this is of high value, this odor, and it's the odor of human remains that's the only thing she gets paid or rewarded for.
Are there, or is there a different reward toy if she works but does not give a trained final response?
Because of the nature of the work of cadaver work or human remains detection work, which is often a lot of elimination work, I work my dogs for a short period of time, and regardless of if they give an indication or they find anything, they get that toy and they get a break to play. Then we take the toy away and ask them to go to work again. And I find that that supports the dog maintaining a full day of working. And also the dog has no reason to false indicate because she knows she gets paid for working, not finding and sitting.
Okay. Have there been times in Moxie's career where she has given you, during these searches, the trained final response?
Yes.
Are there times in Moxie's career where, as she's working during these searches, she does not give a trained final response?
Yes.
Okay. Now, once the proficiency training is completed, then do you then move to the stage of certification of the dog?
Yes.
And can you tell me, how does a canine become certified in human remains detection?
The certification entity that I participate in as a handler is National Narcotic Detector Dog. My first year I went to Texas where a master trainer is, and that person sets out human remains in different environments. There's different categories. There's hidden, buried, rubble, exposed. The list goes on. And to certify, you have to complete at least 3 finds and no false alerts. The dog cannot urinate or eat the remains. Usually my certifications, there's about 4 to 5 areas that I search and locate in. And I do that once a year for a certification.
When was Moxie first certified as a canine in human remains detection?
She first certified she was born in 2013, the fall of 2015.
Okay. And up until the time that she retired, had she been successfully recertified each year since?
Yes.
And on or about November 19th of 2024, did Moxie still have or was she still certified?
Yes.
During these proficiency trainings that we talked about with the NNDDA, as part of those scenes, are there times where there are no human remains present?
During testing?
Yes, during testing.
During the certification, there's no blank area.
Okay.
You search nothing, 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 find something. Search nothing, 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 find something.
Okay, so the placebo that I'm talking about, is that maybe more for proficiency training?
Yeah, your regular monthly maintenance training you may have where you know you have an area and you don't know if there's anything in it or not.
When you are attending the certification trainings, specifically a handler, not an official, as a handler, are you given any information about the areas in which Moxie is expected to search as part of her training?
Yes, usually an area is marked off as this stretch of rubble or this 1 acre of woods.
Are you, as the handler, specifically told where in the woods or where in the rubble the human remains are?
No.
Why is that?
The testing needs to see what you as a team can proficiently locate and identify that the dog knows its odor and that you read your dog to say, yes, they're on it.
So during these certification trainings and searches then, not only is Moxie being evaluated, but also you as the handler, are you being graded as well?
You and that dog become a certified team. So Moxie and I were certified together each year. Someone couldn't slip in and they could probably work her, but they were not certified with her. So yes.
What is your role then as the handler when Moxie is searching an area? What are you just standing there, or are you making observations of your own or something else?
Depends on the area. I like to work them off lead as much as I can, but sometimes we have to have them on lead for safety purposes. And
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you. What do you mean by on lead?
we usually have them off lead, but if they're on lead, they may be on a leash, a 6-foot or a 15-foot long line. And that's to keep them out of traffic or what other issues there are.
Okay. Now, when you are, as a handler, when you're observing Moxie, are you also responsible for interpreting any behaviors that you see her engaging in?
All dogs have what I call tells before the trained final response, and every dog has a different cadence. Some dogs may make an audible snort and then hesitate and then perform. Some may have a flag of their tail different. Their cadence can change from forward to a 90-degree investigating and then an indication. So you really learn that dog's body language that cannot be cued prior to the indication, and that is something the dog naturally does.
And what does Moxie's tell, if you will, before her trained final response, if she gives one?
Some of Moxie's tells would have been, I could hear an audible snort. She may be going, moving forward and then turn hard left or hard right. Nose drops down to investigate. And then for her, she would, prior to an indication, almost always make eye contact with me, probably to see if I was watching her or if I had caught up to her, and it was just part of our dance.
What is Moxie's trained final response then?
Moxie's is a sit.
Okay. And the eye contact happens first and then she sits?
Most often, yes.
Okay. Now, when you are acting as a handler with when Moxie is searching. Are there times where a dog may show, or where you have seen Moxie show those tells in an area or over an item or object, but not alert to it?
Yes.
What would be some of the reasons why a dog might, come to an object or an area and show those tells, but not actually alert?
It could be that they're investigating something that is not human remains, so they have to check it and they move on. It could be it's not strong enough for that dog's threshold indication. It could be that the dog is checking the area to try to, in dog world we say they drive to odor. They're trying to get to the closest, strongest odor they can get to. Those would be the most common.
Sorry, I'm just writing a note here. Thank you. What is the command that you give Moxie when you want her to start searching?
Go find.
Okay. And do you have a command for her to give a final trained response?
No. When she's young and learning the program, we give them the sit or the down, and they get paid for it. But you work to a proficiency where you don't ask that of them anymore. Or if you're going to do that, it's what I call alert work, where I want to polish them. So once a month, we'll go out, and it's all about, you smell this odor, I need you to sit, just to tighten it up. But I don't actually have a command for that, because either she's going to commit to it or not.
And that's not something that when you're out in the field doing an actual search with law enforcement, let's say, you are not the one telling her, or you don't have the ability to tell her, give a trained final response right here.
No, because she has the nose, not me.
We've talked about human remains detection, but as part of that proficiency training, are dogs trained to recognize or separate out the smells of animal remains versus human remains?
Yes.
Okay. And in all of your years with Moxie, has she ever given a trained final response on animal remains?
Not that I can recall.
You mentioned it a little bit earlier. You mentioned the phrase false alert. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the American Academy of Forensic Science?
Yes.
Are you a member? Are you certified through them? Or how are you familiar with that organization?
During my journey in this work, American Academy of Forensic Science is several categories of different uses in investigating. So there might be tire mark impression people and blood spatter people, and detection dogs is one of them. The people that advise on it are scientists and dog trainers. And so there is this entity that kind of like talks about best practices, industry standard, terminology.
Is there a definition of the term false alert that is provided by this American Academy of Forensic Science?
A false alert is identified as when you're absolutely certain the odor the dog is trained in is not present. The dog gives its trained final response, and the certified handler says, yep, this is a hit.
Okay, so it would be possible for a dog to hit on a object or a location where there are no human remains, or the odor would not be there, but it only gets counted as a false alert if the handler confirms and says, yes, that is a trained final response.
Yes.
Okay. Has Moxie ever had a false alert in your experience with her during trainings?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. Is that more difficult to tell maybe when you're out in the field because you let Moxie go and this is not like a training where you know exactly where the odor would be placed?
Correct. In the field, we're just there to collect information, so I can never say if she's right or wrong. I just have to articulate where she indicates if she does, and if she doesn't, that's okay too.
At that point, then, it would be up to the law enforcement agencies who are investigating whatever they're investigating to be able to either corroborate that or they look at the evidence they have to see if there are any consistencies with the location where Moxie gave her trained final response and what they know about their investigation.
Yes.
Okay. I have one final kind of general question before moving on to a specific search with Moxie. Over the years, as a human remains detector handler, have you received training about how long the odor of human remains can remain in a space?
I have anecdotal experiences, and then some science in the back of my head, but it's not coming to me. In an indoor environment, the odor of human remains can last a very long time because there's no wind, no rain, no ventilation to get that odor out. In an outdoor environment, the odor of human remains will last, but probably not as long as indoors. And a lot would depend on how long it was there and in what condition.
Hypothetically, let's say you have a scene where there was either a gunshot wound or a stabbing. In that case, would you expect the odor to be stronger based on the amount of fluids in those particular kinds of traumatic injuries?
Comparing that to a strangulation, there would be a lot more biological that spills out and gets into the ground or into the air, into in an indoor environment, the floor, the carpet, that sort of thing.
Okay. I'd like to direct your attention then to November 19th of 2024. And Madam Clerk, if you could just turn on the screen in front of the witness, please. Were you contacted by a detective with the City of Waukesha Police Department to assist in a death investigation?
Yes.
And was that location 1512 East North Street in the City of Waukesha?
Yes.
Once you were contacted by this detective, were you, or did you agree to assist by bringing Moxie to this scene?
Yes.
Okay. So now on November 19th of 2024, when you arrive at 1512 East North, what do you do once you arrive on scene?
Arrangements were made to meet at the address, and when I first got there, I didn't want to take her into the area until I gave her a break because we had driven quite a while. So I parked on the sidewalk in front of the facility, or I'm sorry, the building, and had her go potty just there on the terrace, and then relocated once I talked to the detectives to where to put my vehicle.
Okay. Where did you end up leaving your vehicle?
I pulled into the parking lot, and I would have been facing southwest.
Okay, and I have up on the screen in front of you State's Exhibit 1, which has previously been admitted. Is this an aerial view of 1512 East North where you went with Moxie on the 19th?
Yes.
Okay, so that screen in front of you is actually a touch screen. If you could circle where the general area is that you first parked,
Okay.
and then where you ended up moving your vehicle before Moxie got out.
And I use this?
Yes, please.
Approximate.
Okay. And then, I'm sorry, there's an arrow and there's a circle.
I don't know why that happened.
Okay, let's try again. Madam Clerk, can you erase the screen? And actually for this one, since it's already been admitted, can you please turn the screens on for the jury again? I apologize.
All right, exhibit number 1 will be published again.
Okay, now in looking at exhibit 1, can you please first circle where you first parked when you arrived on scene?
I believe it was like right in there on the sidewalk and terrace, not in the road.
Okay, then where did you move your car prior to Moxie getting out to perform a search?
I think I did it right in there.
Okay,
So the first green marking was along East North Street. The second green marking was in the small grouping of trees just to the northeast of the apartment building.
thank you, Judge. I would ask that this be captured as 1C, I believe we are on for this exhibit.
We will use this as 1C then. Wait for my clerk to verify the capture.
Now, when Moxie gets out of the car, does she immediately just start running around a property or field or wherever you guys end up?
No.
Okay, what is the process of how you get Moxie ready for a search or let her know it's time to go to work when she gets out of the car?
Try to have a routine, put a vest on her for visibility, and either hold on to her, get a reward toy, kind of point to the area. If we were in a field, I would just simply tuck the toy away and say, go find, and she would start ranging out. If there's a safety issue, then I have her usually on a long line, 15 feet the longest, or a leash.
Okay, and in this case, were there any safety concerns that made you decide to keep Moxie on a lead?
Oh, yes. The road, that East-North Street, is very busy. So I had to start the initial sniff effort with her on a leash.
Okay. Is there anything about having her on a leash that allows you to somehow send her a message that give a trained formal response in this location?
No.
Okay. Now, once Moxie gets out of the car and you put the vest on for visibility, did you do that in this case?
I don't recall. Most likely.
Okay. Then, once she is on the lead, do you tell her, go find?
I then say to her, go find, and she begins to move about and either begins to follow odor or just starts casting, almost like a hunting dog.
What do you mean by casting?
Casting would be, you'll see a dog out in a field catching the smell of something. They may go far left and then cut across far right, their heads up, and it's a natural cadence they use to scent.
Is it almost the way you were moving your hand in front of the jury, almost like a snake or a serpentine style?
Yeah, it's like a triangle that the dog is bouncing from one edge of across it to the other edge.
Okay. Now, when you arrived on scene in this particular case on North Street, how much information from the City of Waukesha detectives that were there did you know about the investigation?
The initial information I received was that body had been located on this property. They only believed that, they said they believed it had been there a while. How long, I don't know. And so I explained, if you want me to help with any information, you need to understand the dog is going to indicate where this body most likely was last at, because that odor's still going to be there, given how short a time frame between when it was located and when I was there.
Did law enforcement tell you where that body was specifically discovered?
I knew it was outside, up in the woods. I don't recall if I knew exactly where it was. I can't remember.
Okay. Is that generally something you may not want to know prior to starting the search?
I prefer to go into searches with enough information to know how to get the dog into an area. But I prefer not to know a lot. It just feels more authentic for me.
Okay. So now Moxie is out of the car. And before I do that, Madam Clerk, can you turn on the screen just for the witness, please? Okay, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 76. As I'm scrolling through it, it's a 3-page document. Do you recognize Exhibit 76?
Yes.
After a search in which you're assisting law enforcement, do you prepare a report of any findings or final responses that Moxie or any other dog you're handling made?
I record in a police-style report what I did. Whether the dog gives indications or not, I just document the areas that were the dog had its nose in and any information like that.
Do you also include times of any changes in or any of those tells or any trained final responses?
Always try to record the time starting, and then if there are any trained final responses, to try to capture as close to the time it occurs as possible.
Why is that necessary?
I find that through years of working the dogs, more specifically in an indoor environment, they're either going to get it right away or not. And I don't want to stay in a space too long for the dog to inadvertently think, oh, Mama wants me to do X, Y, or Z. So I have a routine, and if we don't get anything, we're done, and we move on to the next thing. And the articulation is the dog is not indicating that it's getting the odor of human remains. It's not eliminated. It's just the dog's not identifying anything.
Okay. Now, I'm showing you on your screen a 14-page packet of photographs marked Exhibits 77 through 87 and then 165 through 167. I'm going to scroll through these and then I'll have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Have you seen the location in these photos prior to today's date?
I've physically been there. I guess I don't understand the question.
I'm sorry, I'll reword it. Thank you for clarifying. The photos in Exhibit 77 through 87 and 165 through 167, are those various locations of the property of 1512 East North?
Based off of my recollection, they are, yes.
Okay. Now, do those photos then also document the areas of the property in which you observed Moxie give a trained final response during her search on the 19th of November?
Many of the photos do, yes.
Okay. Now, 165 through 167, those were photos of the underground garage of 1512 East North. Is that correct?
Yes.
And these photos were taken not at the time of Moxie's search. Is that correct?
I don't recall pictures being taken while we were sniffing the area.
Okay.
I believe they called someone, and while I was still on scene, someone came and took some.
Is this, even though you weren't the one taking photos, do you recognize this garage as an area in which Moxie gave a trained final response?
Yes.
Okay. I would move Exhibits 77 through 87 and 165 through 167 and 76 into evidence.
Mr. Lychwick, any objection to 76 through 87 and 165 through 167? The defendant is not giving a response. Those exhibits will be admitted into evidence.
Okay. Now, once Moxie is out of the car and you give the go find command, where does she go first on the property?
From the parking lot, she moved across it to like a concrete steps that went up a hillside. And then she pulled to what I would describe as the east along the top of the landscape wall of the parking lot, got to an area along the wooded area, and dropped her nose down, sniffed, turned around, and gave me her trained final response that she detected the odor of human remains.
On the screen in front of you, and Madam Clerk, this can be turned on for everyone, please. I'm showing you what has previously been admitted as State's Exhibit number 7. Now, Ms. Gummin, when you were on scene on November 19th, is it fair to say that this pile of sticks smack in the middle of Exhibit 7 was not there?
I don't recall those sticks being there.
Okay, so if I were to tell you this was a photo taken from October 30th of 2024 that someone else has already testified to, that would not be the same date as your search, is that correct?
Correct.
But does Exhibit 7 show the correct area of the property in which Moxie gave her first trained final response?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see in here that kind of retaining wall or the driveway area that you referenced?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at this point, you still have Moxie on a lead, is that right?
Yes.
Because of the road being so close to where she is?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you notice any of her tells before she gave a trained final response?
I'd have to review the report.
And that would be Exhibit 76 that you've testified to. So I'll direct your attention then to this middle paragraph here, starting with, I believe, the perimeter.
Should I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. She was pulling me towards that wooded area, lowering her nose, and then she stopped very quickly, and I observed her put her nose to the soil, and then turn around, look directly at me, and conduct her trained final response.
Is her nose being down towards the soil of significance to you versus her nose in the air?
Yes.
Why?
If she is at a distance from a source of human remains odor and just by the wind currents, she will keep her head high, and she may give a trained final response, but I know she's not on it because she's facing somewhere, turns around, and indicates. Whereas if she's dropped her nose to a specific spot, then conducts her trained final, I have to assume there's either source there or the strongest amount of odor for her.
And that's what Moxie is always looking for, the closest, strongest odor of human remains?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what was the time that you gave the command to go find?
I started at 1:10 p.m. and she gave her trained final response approximately 1:11 p.m.
Is that, in your world, a very quick trained final response, or is there any significance to that approximate minute in which it took her to give a trained final response?
At that point in Moxie's career, that she really knows her odors and knows her job. So that was very quick for the average cadaver dog. And for her, it was normal.
Okay.
Attorney Thompson, would now be a good time to take a short break? Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Gummin, you remain under oath. Attorney Thompson, you may proceed.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please turn on the screen in front of, or for everyone? And also, while we were on break, Ms. Gummin, I provided a paper copy of your report that's been admitted as Exhibit 76. That way you can refer to that if you need to as we go through the other final responses in this case while keeping the photographs up for the jury. Now, we were just finishing talking about the first trained final response on that footpath in that wooded area by the retaining wall across from the parking lot. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And in that search, or in that response, had Moxie had her nose to the ground?
Yes,
Okay. Now, this initial sniff, is that conducted to allow Moxie to find the area that had the strongest odor of human remains?
yes.
Okay.
Attorney Thompson, just to interrupt, sorry, I don't believe the state moved for publication of the exhibits that were introduced through Ms. Gummin. Are you so moving for those?
I would ask to publish those previously received exhibits now that we are at that point.
So that would be the photographs 77 through 87 and 165 through 167?
That is correct.
Mr. Lychwick, do you have any objection to the publication of those exhibits that have already been marked as evidence?
As I told you, Your Honor, I'm not up to being here today. I protest.
That is noted. Those exhibits may be used with the jury.
Okay, thank you. Now, moving to exhibit number 77, once that train final response is observed on the foot trail, do you and Moxie then enter that ground level parking garage?
Yes,
Do you take her off the lead while she's in the garage?
yes,
Okay. Now, exhibit 77, is this when you first walk into the garage and you're looking to your left?
yes,
Okay. Exhibit 78, is that the same angle, just brighter, and now we're moving into that room that was first on the left?
yes.
Is that, or was it described to you as like a boiler room or a maintenance room?
Yes,
When you walked inside, did that appear to be consistent with what you saw in that room?
yes.
Okay. So now Moxie is off lead. Do you give her the go find command into this boiler room?
No.
What do you do?
We start at the entrance to the garage doors of this parking ramp or underground parking, and I gave her a command to go find, and she was off lead. She ranged out. She circled around in the garage one time, and I just always try to move along so I can observe her. And then she tucked in on her own into that room. And as I began to move in that direction to catch sight of her, she stepped out, made direct eye contact with me, and gave her train final response, basically in the door frame.
Okay. Now, if we move to exhibit 79, is that a view of inside of the boiler room or the maintenance room?
From that doorway looking directly in, that's the picture of that.
Okay. And you said that Moxie gave her trained final response in the doorway of this room?
Yes.
Did she give any trained final responses inside of this room?
So based off of missing whatever it was in that room by her moving so quickly in there, I walked into the room and started moving around with her. I don't recall if I said go find again. By this point, we're kind of automatic. And she went and started sniffing and dropped her nose under that workbench and backed back out, made eye contact, and gave me her trained final response.
In going to exhibit 81, is this a brighter version of exhibit number 79 that we just looked at?
Yes.
Okay, and can you circle for me on the screen the area in which Moxie's trained final response was?
Yes.
As it relates to the workbench.
I would say that's approximate.
Okay. Can we please capture this and label it as 81A?
We will do that. We'll capture it with a green circle. It'll take a moment for my clerk to double check it.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, was there another location in this boiler room where you observed Moxie give a trained final response?
Yes, after that indication, I began to move through the space more methodically with her. She was self-sniffing, but moved past the workbench, and then in that far corner, there's remnants of carpet. She dropped her nose underneath. I don't recall if she snorted or not, but she backed right out, looked at me, and gave her trained final response.
Okay. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, thank you. Going back to Exhibit 80, is this now the corner of the boiler room in which you were just talking about with the carpet remnants?
Yes.
Okay. And, oops, I'm sorry, I don't have a brighter version of this one. But if I make the screen larger, in that back corner there, you see all those rolled up carpets?
Yes.
Can you circle on Exhibit 80 where you saw Moxie give her trained final response?
Approximately that green circle.
Okay. Can we please screen capture this and mark it as Exhibit 80A, please?
We will make this 80A.
Once Moxie gives this trained final response, does she end up leaving this boiler room?
We continued a methodical movement through that room. She did not indicate anywhere else in the room, and we exited out to move through the rest of the garage.
And is it fair to say that Moxie is guiding herself? You're not telling her where to go. Is that fair?
I prefer to always let them first commit to odor by giving their trained final response. And if I think I can, I'll try to methodically move with her in a detailing format to see if we can get closer to whatever it is that's the human remains odor for her. So everything she does is independent. Unless she gives a trained final, then I do work a little harder with her on trying to get to where it might be coming from.
Okay. Now moving then to, does Moxie go through the garage at all?
Yes.
Okay. And if I move to exhibit number 167, we're kind of coming back to exhibit 77 where we're at the threshold of the underground garage door, and that door there is for the boiler room that we just saw photos of. Is that the correct orientation of this photo?
Yes.
Okay, so then as Moxie is independently coming out of that boiler room, do you observe her go through the garage?
Yes.
Okay, now in exhibit 167, we see the door of the boiler room, and then 166 is the okay. In exhibit 166, is this the part of the garage that's facing North Street, from what you can remember?
No, I think, I got disoriented, like where our cardinal directions are. I thought the back of the garage, as we're looking at it, was more parallel with, is it Westmoreland? Or
Moreland Boulevard.
Moreland Boulevard. That's where I thought it was.
Okay,
I
all
might
right.
be wrong.
No, that's okay. But this is the underground garage. As it continues, it's on the same side of the boiler room. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Then, if we go to 165, is this, if you're standing in the threshold of the garage, you're looking to the right?
Correct.
Okay. Does Moxie walk throughout the entirety of this garage?
Yes,
Does she give any trained final responses in this garage?
she did.
Where?
In this picture, where would you like me to start?
I'll start here.
Okay.
Since she came out this doorway.
So she moved along, passing dumpsters that were there. I don't know if those were the exact dumpsters. I don't know what cars were there. And then she moved between the gray car, and the wall. She moved along the wall. She ended up giving a trained final response in that vacant portion in the back area of the parking stalls.
Can you circle for me?
To the best of my ability, it was not that car, and it was somewhere approximately around that pillar, but not that car.
Okay. Can we please screen capture 166 and mark it as that, as letter A?
That will be included into the record as Exhibit 166A.
Now, you indicated that to the best of your recollection, this area in 166A, though that parking stall or that area was empty on that date of your search. Is that correct?
From what I recall, there wasn't a vehicle right there.
Okay. Now, does Moxie then continue along that wall and go to the opposite side of the garage?
I would have gotten her going again, knowing
Okay.
that we're just looking for information. And so we moved along that back far wall with no indication from Moxie that she detected the odor of human remains. And then we came along this wall and whatever was in the area, and she conducted another trained final response in this area.
This is now Exhibit 165 that's on the screen.
Thank you. And can you, to the best of your recollection, can you circle, please, where Moxie gave a trained final response in Exhibit 165?
I thought there was some stuff there, and it was in that area, is what I recollect.
Okay. Can we please screen capture 165 and mark it as letter A, please?
That will be part of the record as 165A.
From the garage, did you then go inside of the apartment building at 1512 East North?
Yes,
Did you specifically go to apartment number 13?
yes.
How did you get from the garage threshold here to apartment 13?
We exited the garage door, and we again went along that side of the building, up a staircase, and made entry on what I would describe as the west side of the building.
Okay, so if we're looking at Exhibit 1, which I have in front of you, if I'm following my cursor, are you walking around North Street here, up the side then of Moreland?
No,
Okay, can you draw for me your path once you left the garage?
we would have gone in right about there.
Okay, so the door right up at the top of those concrete steps?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as you are walking up those steps, once you're in the building, is there a long hallway?
From what I recollect, yes.
Okay. And so, do you give Moxie the go find command prior to going into apartment 13?
I did not.
Okay. Now, once you're inside apartment 13,
Clear the screen.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm going back to exhibit. We'll start with exhibit 83. Now, when you open the door to apartment 13, is this the view that you have when you're still in the threshold of the doorway?
Yes,
Okay, and it appears that if you go down the hallway, it leads to a bedroom. Is that fair to say?
yes,
Okay. Now, if you go straight to the left, where we see that orange iron on the counter, would that be the kitchen of this apartment?
yes.
Did Moxie give a trained final response in the kitchen of apartment 13?
Yes.
Okay. How did you observe that happen?
Entered the apartment, would have had the door closed behind me, released her from leash, gave her a command to go find, and she is allowed to move about freely. And she ended up moving through the apartment and stopping near the kitchen sink. And then with her head more up, she gave a trained final response that she detected the odor of human remains.
We've been talking about her trained final responses with her nose to the ground. So did it make any difference to you that her head was slightly upwards in this trained final response?
To me, it's she's doing the best she can. This is what she can give me, but she's not specific to anything around that area. So it lends itself, it's either fainter, older, or there's nothing she can put her nose on.
If we go to, going backwards a little bit, but exhibit 82, do you recognize this area of the kitchen?
Yes,
Okay, and was her trained final alert underneath inside this cabinet, or because her nose was in the air, was it more of the area?
It initially was the area,
Okay.
yes.
Did she give a trained final response then in a more specific area of the kitchen?
I don't recall how we got those cupboard doors open. I most likely would have asked somebody if we can open them. And once the doors were open, she did again indicate, but nothing very pronounced, giving her trained final response to the odor of human remains.
Okay. Then as we go back to that front hallway at the threshold of the door, and we continue down the hallway, Exhibit 84 is a closer up version of exhibit, of the one we just saw going towards the bedroom. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And once Moxie is inside that bedroom, does she give any trained final responses?
She self-initiated going in there. She did extend her nose up to an empty dresser area up higher and conducted her trained final response that she detected the odor of human remains.
Okay. Once you are finished in apartment 13, is there any other location on the property where Moxie is taken?
We did an exterior around the actual building, and she did not indicate around the building to the fact that she detected the odor of human remains. And then we went up the concrete stairs to the northwest, and I took her off traffic lead, and she pushed forward again, and then she cut more into the woods. And as I was following her, she dropped her nose down along a log, nose straight down, and then turned around and gave me direct eye contact and conducted a trained final response that she detected the odor of human remains.
Okay. If I'm showing you on the screen now what has previously been admitted as State's Exhibit number 19. And do you recall seeing, strike that. We see concrete stairs more towards the left of Exhibit 19. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are these the stairs that you came out of the building on?
We used those stairs to go in the building, came back out, and then used one more time to get up the hill.
Okay. And then this is the hill that you're referencing?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if we look further to the right of Exhibit 19, that's the direction where we're going higher up this hill. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And then at the top of that hill, is there a clearing area?
There was some area that had been maybe cleaned up from brush.
Okay. Now, in going then to Exhibit 85, are we now looking up the hill that we just looked at in State's Exhibit 19?
We are looking to the almost north.
Okay. And if you can see my cursor here, circling the top left corner, is that the top of the hill that we are going to be talking about with Moxie's last trained final response?
Yes.
Okay. Now, moving on to Exhibit 86, now we're more centered and we will go up this hill. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. 87, is this now the top of the hill?
Yes.
Is Moxie off lead at this point?
Yes.
At what point was she given the go find command? Was it at the bottom of the hill or when she got to the top or something else?
We got to the top of the stairs, got her a little bit away from traffic, released her and said, go find.
And so she went up this hill herself.
Yes.
And she's detecting or trying to detect the strongest odor of human remains?
In that area, yes.
Okay. Now, once Moxie is in this area that we see in Exhibit 87, do you see her nose towards the ground or up in the air?
She was moving forward. As I caught up, I observed that she had stopped her forward motion, dropped her nose down, and was sniffing along a log. She then looked at me and conducted a trained final response that she detected the odor of human remains.
Can you circle for me on Exhibit 87 where Moxie gave her trained final response in this area?
to the best of my ability. It's that green circle against that wooded area.
Can we please screen capture this and mark it as Exhibit 87A?
It will be captured. Please wait just a minute to confirm the capture.
They have.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Gummin, we've talked about a lot of different areas of the 1512 East North property where you observed Moxie give a trained final response. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Did you find, and let me make sure I'm very specific with this question, after Moxie gives a trained final response, do you go to the area of that response to see if there are in fact any human remains?
Whenever she gives a trained final response, I'm up by her to look around and observe if I see anything. That is correct.
In any of these responses, when you were by Moxie, did you see any human remains in any of these areas?
I saw no human remains.
Now, if I were to tell you that that first photograph that we observed, or that photograph of the footpath area where Moxie gave her first trained final response, if I were to tell you that there had been human remains located in that location that had been there for approximately 6 to 7 months, what, based on your training and experience, would that tell you about the intensity or quickness of Moxie hitting in that particular area?
Based off of my life experience, I would guess that there was still bits of odor from the body decomposing into the soil, and for Moxie's nose, she could detect the odor of human remains, and maybe at a much finer tune level than anything laboratories can use to prove it.
So if human remains were found, let's say October 30th of 2024, and now Moxie is hitting in that area on November 19th of 2024, that odor could still be in the soil? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
What if somebody were to, after the remains were removed, walk through that area? Would the odor attach to something maybe that that person is wearing?
Yes.
If someone were potentially gardening in that area, and let's say they take those gardening tools and put them back in the boiler room where you saw gardening tools, could the odor of those human remains follow that gardening item into that boiler room?
Yes.
And would it be fair to say that Moxie is not detecting the odor of human remains of a specific person? Is that fair?
That is correct. They're trained to detect the odor of human remains. Upon death, we become generic human cadaver odor.
Okay. So without finding any human remains as you were next to Moxie during her responses, and if I were to tell you that a body was not recovered in apartment 13, based on your training experience, how could you account for the fact that Moxie gives a trained final response in apartment 13 knowing there's no body there?
Based off the information that a body was decomposing for 6 to 7 months, for a human remains detection dog, everything is probably contaminated within that driveway, anybody that's been walking around in that area. And that was the only apartment we sniffed. So I couldn't say if everybody was contaminated by it, but it gets into everything.
Would the analogy of the smell of a skunk help explain this concept of the odor transferring between objects and being in a location where there were no human remains in the investigation?
The odor of human remains could be described for us humans, because our noses aren't like it, like a skunk. When you're driving along, you smell it as you get closer. You probably go past its carcass, you keep on going and it takes a while to miss it. If you were to drive over a skunk or where it's just been killed, chances are your car's going to smell like it. So I think it is very safe to say that due to the time of that body staying outside near the driveway and all of the gardening and yard work that's being done, couldn't help but be carried into the building by whomever was around it.
So the fact that Moxie's responses in the garage, the boiler room, apartment 13, the fact that there were no human remains there, but in taking into account this concept that the odors can move with the objects, that doesn't mean her alerts were inaccurate in these locations where we know there were no human remains. Is that correct?
Detection dogs are trained to detect the odor of something. We would love for it to be source, but often it's just odor. So where that dog's threshold begins and ends, more mature, seasoned dog is going to be catching odor finer tuned, faster, more specific than maybe a brand new dog whose database hasn't grown as much. So she is trained to detect the odor of human remains. Would love to have source, but I can't control that part of it.
I do not have any other questions for this witness. Thank you.
Mr. Lychwick, this is your opportunity to ask cross-examination questions. Do you have any questions for this witness? All right, Mr. Lychwick is not acknowledging the court. Therefore, Ms. Gummin, you can step down. Thank you.